Hi, this is Dennis Spade with Micro Manufacturing Magazine. We're here at the MEMS Executive Congress in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm talking to Brian Hoadley, who's president of Movea, Inc. Movea is sponsoring the Technology Showcase here at the Executive Congress, and as the sponsor of the showcase, of course, a lot of the technology that Movea is working on, you might find in some of these products that we're going to see here at this Congress, the 6 finalists that are on this in this showcase. Brian, I understand there's a specific technology that you might hope to see in some of these products in the future, and you're ready to show us this today. Yeah. Something to do with sensor fusion.
Exactly, and thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. Movea specializes in data fusion and sensor fusion, firmware, software, and IP. And so what we do is we take sensor data as an example from accelerometers, from gyroscopes, from magnetometers, from other sensors. We fuse the information to get together to give you a very stable, usable information. Some examples of that would be something like a compass. Here we have a standard Android compass that's available today, and I've downloaded it onto my smartphone, and it's pointing north, and then is Movea's motion fusion also pointing to north. And as we start to move the compass, you can see that it moves, but it starts to quickly lose its heading. And as I introduce a magnetic interference, and it's just completely confused, it doesn't know what it's doing. Whereas Movea's solution is absolutely stable. Even if I move, it continues to point north. The compass that you get out of the native Android keeps losing itself. It comes back as you move the magnetic interference away. Movea's doesn't move at all, except from my vibration. Why is that important? Well, if you're navigating out in the wilderness, you kind of want to know that you're going in the right direction, and if you were using the native Android software, you probably wouldn't use that. Or if you go inside a building and you want to do very advanced features where data fusion becomes very important, and you want to do pedestrian navigation, you want to know that you're really heading in the right direction. Heading is a critical component of that pedestrian navigation feature. So you can't use what is available today on the smartphones. You have to use more advanced software that's available from Movea. Some other things that you might want to do with the sensor fusion. Just give you another quick little demo here. This is, again, the sensor fusion that comes native out of Android, and you can see as I move it, jumpy, moves around, I can really get it to just jump all over the place. It's very unstable. Now if I switch to Movea's, very smooth, very fluid, doesn't jump around. So if you're doing things like panorama photos, or if you're doing any kind of accurate gaming or things like that, you want the sensor fusion to be stable, to be smooth, and to be fluid.
You mentioned that you want to see this technology get into devices that are out there right now. Mm-hmm. What's that going to take to replace some of the, let's say, the compass?
I mentioned we're really excited to be sponsoring the Technology Showcase tomorrow. And you mentioned some of the products maybe have some of our software in the future. And what it's going to take is partnerships with really key OEMs that are kind of fed up with this native stuff. Because the companies that are developing this today, it's kind of used to show what's capable, but they're not experts in developing software. And that's Movea's expertise, is really focus 100% on just developing this software. And so what it's going to take is some partnerships, and those partnerships are happening right now. And so you'll see in early next year, you'll see these consumer devices coming on with more usable features that consumers will start to go, wow, this is really, I get it now. I get why these companies put all these sensors in there. And today it's kind of I don't want to use the word poorly, but it's a little bit of a toy. And in the future, it's going to be very usable, very powerful, much more accurate. The step cadency you get today with an accelerometer-only solution from companies like Nike and Adidas, those things are great, but they're basically a pedometer that counts your steps. So you program in 3 foot, my steps 3 feet or 1 meter, every single time it tracks that 1 meter. But what if I could say with our solution we can get down to a few inches? So you're running a marathon and the next thing you know, your stride's fallen off. I can tell you that your stride's now 2'6" versus 2'9" versus 3 feet. Those kinds of things will be really powerful, and maybe it alerts you. Maybe it's got a little earpiece and it alerts you and says, hey, you're starting to fall apart at mile 20 of the marathon, get it back together. Those kinds of technologies and are concepts that we're working on today.
And I'm not sure if you went over this or not, but the way that your software is doing this is by knowing that certain data is probably an anomaly and should be thrown out.
Right.
I mean, and that's what makes the compass, for instance, that so much better than or immune to a magnetic,
interference,
surge or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, so what we do is, and when we fuse the information together from the different sensors, or including maps or Wi-Fi triangulation or biomechanical models, and we detect the good information based on experience and modeling, and then when there's bad information induced, we throw that out and use the other information to compensate. So we're continuously investing in making sure the data is accurate through our algorithms. And we have a bunch of IP around what we call continuous automatic calibration, that kind of a concept. And so we're just constantly evaluating the data, good, bad, the bad gets thrown out, and the good data stabilizes the solution until it gets back on track.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate all your time.
Well, thank you, Dennis. It was a pleasure talking to you today.